Let's kick it. Atlanta Soccer tonight is live on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. I'm Jason Longshore. Welcome to our weekly show. We cover soccer in Atlanta, in Georgia, all over the Southeast, all over the United States, and beyond. That's what we do on AST. This show tonight is going to be heavily focused on Atlanta United because training camp is open. We've been calling it training camp all day. It was a funny conversation with Carlos Bocanegra and Mike Bell and Carl Dukes about training camp and football and spring training and baseball and preseason in soccer. It's all interchangeable at this point, isn't it? Because you're at that time of the year where we can call it whatever we want. It's day 2 of practice, and this team in 2024 is getting ready to start season number 8. 8 years of Atlanta United. It feels like this team launched yesterday. It does not feel like it's been 8 years, but we are going into season number 8. And look, the expectations are really high this year. You're going to hear about that from players. You're going to hear about that from front office staff tonight. You're going to hear from players like Giorgos Giakoumakis, like Stian Gregersen, like Brad Gazan. You're going to hear from Garth Lagerwey. And we're going to start things off tonight with the vice president and technical director of Atlanta United, Carlos Bocanegra. Got a bunch of clips for you tonight, kind of react to things as well as we go. Let's start with Carlos speaking about this transfer window and where things stand for Atlanta United.
Hopefully we'll be able to announce another one that I think you guys are pretty aware of in the next day or so. And then after that, most likely one more that would be potentially rounding out our squad. So we'll see when that happens. There's not necessarily a rush on that right now, but we feel good. We've gotten to a point where we have pretty much our whole squad complete. In the first week of preseason, which we're excited about. It's interesting for us this year. We're not in a Champions League competition. Hopefully we'll be able to announce.
Oh, sorry, I lost Carlos right there. I wanted to play up a little bit on where things stand right now with the roster. You've got 3 goalkeepers on the senior roster. You have 5 fullbacks right now on the roster. You have 5 center backs on the roster. You have right now 5 holding midfielders, although Santiago Sosa expected to be loaned to Racing in Argentina. Just waiting on the paperwork to get finished there. Come back to that position in a minute. Couple of attacking midfielders, 6 wingers, 2 forwards. That's a pretty thorough roster for Atlanta United, and that's where things stand right now. What Carlos finished in that clip, he was talking about how Atlanta United's not in the CONCACAF Champions Cup this year. So you have time in preseason to build. You don't have to rush anything. You can let this team cook. You can let this staff, led by Gonzalo Pineda, cook. Now, there is one.
Hopefully we'll be able to announce.
Carlos wanted to chime back in. Sorry about that. There is one cool.
Hopefully we'll be able to announce.
As we're having some technical difficulties here. There is one question about Thiago Almada. Here's Garth Lagerwey speaking about where things stand with Thiago Almada.
I hope so. We don't completely control that, right? It's always got to be a collaborative process. Unlike the NFL, we can't just trade somebody or sell them without their consent. And likewise, when Thiago came to the team, the agreement that was made before I got here was, hey, at some point he's gonna go to Europe. So I believe that's still his intention, and we'll work with him to see if we can find a situation that makes sense for everybody. But we are in no hurry. Again, this is a guy that was among the finalists for league MVP. Is one of the best players in the league. We'd be super excited for him to stay. As you guys know, we've lined up our long-term strategy so he can be a DP at our club as long as he wants to be here.
There are rumors about Thiago Almada, and that was Garth Lagerwey speaking, the president and CEO of Atlanta United, to Dukes and Bell earlier today. There are rumors about Thiago Almada and interest from Atletico Madrid. Now, according to those rumors, that is dependent on a move going in the other direction, a player going out to create space and probably create some revenue for Almada to come in. That's why it's kind of out of Atlanta United's control at the moment. Almada right now is away with Argentina's U23s as they prepare to begin Olympic qualifying in South America coming up this week is when that tournament will start. Almada likely going to captain that team. Javier Mascherano, the Argentine legend, managing that team. Almada has captained them through all of their pre-tournament friendlies. Would expect him to wear the armband for Argentina in that tournament. And they've still got to qualify. They would be expected to. We'll see if they get it done. Now, one player who is gone from Atlanta United in 2024, who's been here since year one, is Miles Robinson. Here's Carlos Bocanegra speaking on Miles's decision to go to Cincinnati.
Yes and no. I mean, in all honesty, not really moved to another MLS team. But Miles is great. We had a excellent dialogue throughout the process. Even the day before he was gonna, before he was gonna announce he was going to Cincinnati, he reached out to me and just thanked us for the club, personally, collectively, his time here. Loved Atlanta, loved everything. So, we've had that relationship with him since the beginning. He wanted to try something new, and we respect that. So it's been good. There was obviously interest in him overseas in the summer. We ended up making the decision to try to push for the playoffs and go and try and win it, rather than take a nominal fee for him and lose a player of his stature in the summer. So we made that decision as a club, and I think it was the right one, and we're okay. He ended up choosing somewhere different, and we wish the best for him. I hope he gets back in with the national team and has a chance to compete in this next World Cup, because it was pretty heartbreaking for him to miss that last one where he was probably going to be a starter. So no, we wish the best for him, and great kid. We were really fortunate to have him as our first draft pick, and we'll see him again soon.
Clip there from Carlos Bocanegra answering our own Joe Patrick's question about, was it a surprise to see Miles Robinson sign with FC Cincinnati rather than make that immediate move to Europe, as some had suggested? Little bit of, I think, kind of news in there from Carlos, in that there was an offer last summer as Miles was going into the last 6 months of his contract to move him on to Europe last summer, and the club decided to keep him for that playoff push. And I would agree. I think it was the right decision at the time, because that fee would have been really not much, because he's going to be out of contract, and clubs could have signed him to a pre-contract where he would have joined them in January. That didn't happen. So that's maybe the little bit of a surprise there, is that there was interest in the summer. It didn't happen then. But then whoever that club was did not follow up on said interest, even though they were willing to give something of a transfer fee in the summer. Very intriguing. But Miles Robinson is going to Cincinnati on a 1-year deal with a 1-year option. Next clip. This is Garth Lagerwey speaking about Gonzalo Pineda and his staff coming back. This is the last year of Gonzalo's contract with Atlanta United. There's an option to extend it. But here's Garth Lagerwey on sticking with the staff that is currently in place.
We really wanted to emphasize stability. We've been through. I think Gonzalo was the fourth coach in club history, but it was the third in four years or thereabouts.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
When I was hired on the job, that was one of the things that was emphasized to me: the desire for continuity and stability. And look, when you keep the same coaching staff in place, it allows you to continue to build the roster. I was honest with you guys. I think last year we kind of didn't get to a point where we could finish the roster last year. We did everything we could. We worked like crazy in the summer. I think we got a lot better, but we didn't get all the way there. And I think this window, if we're able to finish the signings we're working on right now, I think we will have a legit starting 11 where every single player is league average or above. No clear weak spots, and some real standouts when you think that we signed TG and Almada within the last 2 years. Both of them won Newcomer of the Year, meaning they were the best signing in the league that year. And I think we've surrounded with some pretty good pieces. If you look at the last couple of windows, and the Zondes and the Sabas and the Yumbas and the Gregersens and players that we're really, really excited about to pair with, a hometown hero like Caleb Wiley, a kid in Brooks Lennon who had the best year of his career. I thought he was the best right back in the league last year. And other pieces like Luis Abramo came in midway and was real steady for us. So I think we got a lot going for us. We got a lot to look forward to, and I think we got a better starting position than, or at least I feel more comfortable with our starting position than I did a year ago. And that's a good sign we're making progress.
This is Atlanta Soccer Tonight, 92.9 The Game. I'm Jason Longshore. That was Garth Lagerwey, the president and CEO of Atlanta United, speaking to Dukes and Bell earlier today about the decision to continue on with Gonzalo Pineda and his staff, and continuity, stability. These are things that, whether you follow the Atlanta Falcons, whether you follow Atlanta United, these are things that are not a surprise to be valued. And I would completely agree with the assessment of where this roster stands right now. You saw the second half of the year last year after that summer window. Team looked very, very good on the field. Now you've got time for that continuity to grow, for that group to grow. And as you saw a consistent starting lineup, you saw a much better team on the field. Now, one piece that is still out there is the defensive midfield role, the 6 role to pair with Tristan Muyumba. Here's Carlos Bocanegra on what he wants out of that position.
Yeah, really just, game intelligence, somebody that can, win the ball, whether it's through tackles, recoveries, interceptions, positioning, protecting that back four. We have the ability with Tristan to play kind of a double pivot. We have the position Tristan can play as a 6 if he wants. He can play, the other player that we should be bringing in, they can play as the single 6. So we wanted that ability to make sure we're protecting the defense, and we talked about balance early on, scoring a lot of those goals. But when we are when we are pressing, the counterattack, someone can snuff that out. But they're intelligent on the ball as well. That when we have, we're building out of the back, that midfield rotation. I think you guys saw when Tristan came into the team last year. I think it was Cruz Azul, his first game, just like to go find the space that's open, and Thiago's so intelligent, and so bringing another player in there that they can kind of, they don't have to be just a fixed 6 because we're a possession-oriented team. They need to be mobile, so they're just not receiving it there. They can receive it in space, but they can do the defensive job as well. So that high soccer IQ, that game intelligence, and just kind of that no nonsense. They don't need to be a killer, so to speak, but tackles, interceptions, protecting the back line. I think to my days when I played with Chicago in this league, Chris Armas, who's now coaching Chicago, little guy, but just man, it was so nice playing behind him because he just snuffed everything out and he makes the defenders look good. He was so intelligent, just got his body in the way, makes a tackle when he needs to, but intercepts it, comes back to close and sandwich the defender. So it's just those sort of things are what we looked for to help give the back line some protection so they weren't so isolated. But then on the reverse, they got to be able to handle the ball as well.
You heard multiple times there and earlier from Carlos as he spoke to the media today about a move that is coming. That description of a player sounds a lot like Bartosz Slisz, the Polish midfielder who has been linked with Atlanta United. We'll see if that deal gets done. It sounds like that would be the player. It sounds like that's the description of the player. So hopefully Bartosz Slisz will get done and he will fill that role and pair up with Tristan Muyumba. When we come back after the break, I'll talk a little bit about Slisz and what to expect if he is that signing. Also, you're going to hear from Giorgos Giakoumakis, Stian Gregersen, and Brad Gazan. More from Atlanta United training in 5 minutes on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Welcome back. Atlanta Soccer tonight on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Yes, it's Atlanta Soccer tonight. We'll jump over into the other football for one quick second as the Atlanta Falcons, maybe they don't know what time Atlanta Soccer tonight is on 92.9 The Game. They tweeted it right after Abe Gordon's show ended. I know he is yelling at the radio right now as I talk about it. The Atlanta Falcons tweeted that they have interviewed University of Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh. You're going to hear a lot more about that tomorrow on the morning shift starting at 6 a.m., the Steakhouse at 9 a.m., the midday show with Andy and Randy at 11. And I know Dukes and Bell are going to talk about it because they talked about why that interview hadn't happened yet all day today from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I was talking about it with him during breaks. Jim Harbaugh has interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons. Make sure you're tuned in to 92.9 The Game, whether it's on the radio or on the Odyssey app all day tomorrow, because there will be lots of conversation about that. Let's jump back into the other football now for Atlanta Soccer tonight. And I teased I'd tell you a little bit more about Bartosz Slisz, the Polish midfielder who is linked with Atlanta United, whose description, whose scouting report sounded a lot like what Carlos Bocanegra told the media today that he wants out of that number 6 position. This is a player who's 24 years old. He'll turn 25 at the end of March. 6 caps for the Polish national team. The most expensive transfer, if this goes down for what is being reported in Legia Warsaw history, the incoming move to bring him in was the most expensive move to bring a player in, and he might be the most expensive player on the way out. The rumors are the transfer fee would be around $3.5 million. 165 games with Legia Warsaw, a player who is known for his passing, known for his progressive passing and progressive carrying, dribbling. He gets the ball forward, essentially. Very good in the air. He's outstanding with his vertical leap. Not the biggest guy, but uses his body really well. Very strong, good endurance. The one thing about him is he's very aggressive. Sometimes he can dive in a little bit too much, maybe get some fouls called, maybe get beat on the dribble. But this is a player who absolutely suits the way that Atlanta United wants to play. He's typically played with a midfield partner, which you would hear with Tristan Muyumba. And he's played on a team that is committed to attacking and getting numbers forward. So he gets that mentality. Also, as a young player, as a youth player, played some center back. So that helps him defensively. Keep an eye on Atlanta United's social media accounts, on the press releases as well. But Bartosz Slisz has been linked with Atlanta United. It's been rumored that he has been completing this deal. And Carlos Bocanegra talked about a deal incoming very, very soon that we've heard about. So connect the dots. And a lot of times 1 + 1 does equal 2. Bartosz Slisz is a player that I would like to see in this team. Some players we will see in this team. And let's start with one of the newcomers in Stian Gregersen. He was introduced to the media today. And first question from Doug Robertson of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution was, why Atlanta? Here's Stian.
Why Atlanta? No, because it's an amazing club. I talk with them. They have an ambition to win. And the stadium also bring me here because it's so huge. And the fans is fantastic.
Gregersen comes from Bordeaux in the French second division, same league that you got Tristan Muyumba and Sean De Silva from. So a league that players have adapted really well. But more importantly, in Gregersen's case, Bordeaux, his club, their style of play and how it matches up with what he is expecting to see here with Atlanta United. Here is Gregersen speaking on that.
No, yeah, I played in Bordeaux also. I like to have the ball play like that. And I'm used to that the team is staying low because Bordeaux is a big club in French, especially in League 2. So they counter-attack a lot to us. So I'm used to it. So. And I heard that also the Atlanta is the same. We have the ball possession and the team's counter-attack, so I think it will be the same, so I'm used to it.
Let's go a step further in that last part. He's used to being in a team that dominates the ball. Check. He's used to being in a team that plays against teams that play a low block because of how the opponent dominates the ball. Check. We see that a lot. So you're looking at teams who counter against you. he's got experience and he's got the ability to play in a high line, which Atlanta United does. They want to compress the other team in their own half. But when the ball turns over, which it will, it always does, it happens, this is part of soccer, in those turnover situations where the opponent looks to go long, Gregersen has the pace and the experience in covering that ground and making up those plays, something that Miles Robinson excelled in. The expectation is the same for Stian Gregersen. There's also big expectations in 2024 for Giorgos Giakoumakis. Giorgos had a great first season, had some injuries throughout the season, but was one of the most effective goal scorers, one of the most efficient goal scorers in Major League Soccer. Here's Giorgos Giakoumakis speaking to the media today about his expectations for 2024 and with Atlanta United.
Well, I think that the second part of last season, after the summer, we were a totally different team. We had some very quality players that they made the difference for us. So I think that if we stick together like the same group with some quality additions, we can be even better and end up in a higher spot in the ranking table. So we showed in the second part of the season last year that we're having a better winning mentality than what we had at first. So I think right now we're in a good place, and we're gonna take it day by day, game by game. But I feel way more comfortable and with higher confidence as about my team and my teammates as about the winning mentality, how we can take it to another level, our game, and to aim for something big.
Last one from Giorgos. He was asked about the team coming together and how that went last year and how that will expand. When you had all those new faces come in the summer, one of the things that struck me about it was how quick things meshed. I think it's down to a lot of the leadership in this team. It starts with the coaching staff led by Gonzalo Pineda, but also the senior players in the team. Giakoumakis became a leader in this group very quickly. His presence is big. Here's Giorgos speaking about building chemistry within the group.
Well, I think we are all together. We're hanging out. We are very close to each other, and we try whenever we are together. We try to talk for several things, and of course, always we mention about the sportive aspect and the football aspect. So even after the games, usually we were talking, especially in the dressing room, like off the record, like I was going to move there. What do you think? And we try to realize and to read the other's mind and how we are gonna move, where we're gonna pass the ball, and that requires time. That requires a lot of time, and that's why I believe this year is gonna be even better as about the connection we're gonna have, especially offensively. I cannot combine with the defenders, but I can combine with Xande, with Saba, with Thiago if he's here, and that's the most important for us. That it was only 6 months with these players, maybe not even. So I think a team, in order to get built and put the basis, it needs time. The quality we have it, we showed that last year. But to be a unit, to transform the individuals to a unit, then it requires time.
Atlanta Soccer tonight, 92.9 The Game. I'm Jason Longshore. That was Giorgos Giakoumakis. I love that answer from Giorgos because chemistry, communication, team building, it doesn't happen overnight. I think it happened really quickly for the group last year, and that's why you saw the run from after Leagues Cup to that last game in Columbus be very, very good. Atlanta was as good as any team in the league during that stretch. You get a full preseason with that group. You get Giorgos, Saba, Xande all together and building communication, building understanding of one another. These new players coming in early on and being part of that from the jump. I really like where this group can be. And that's why getting the business done so early is such an important factor in 2024 for Atlanta United. Now, one of the positions that is very interesting in 2024 is goalkeeper, a position where there hasn't really been a lot of competition over the previous years. Brad Kazan has been the incumbent pretty consistently since arriving in Atlanta. Here's Carlos Bocanegra speaking on that competition at goalkeeper and other positions in the team in 2024.
Yeah, so Josh is someone that we followed him for a few years. I think you guys were aware of that as well. He was playing in Champions League, Europa League over out of the Israeli league, right? And they did a good job qualifying for those competitions. So I got a chance to go watch him in Champions League game over there and see him perform. He's a good shot stopper. He's a good kid. His journey is really fantastic, and how he got over there and kind of backed himself. So really the thought was, we want to bring him in and try to compete for the number one. And so we've been clear with him and Brad about that. And, we need someone to come in and compete for the number one. And we think Josh has that ability. And so we'll see. We've got training camp coming up here. I can't believe I just said training camp. We've got preseason. I'm so like Falcons football. Like we've got preseason coming up here where, these guys, all the players are going to be competing for their spots. We feel good about our depth, not only there, but now, in the midfield, defensive, Derek Williams coming in right in the defense, across the front kind of three positions with 6 players, 7 players. We feel pretty good about that. And so we want everybody coming in, and it's competition in preseason.
See, Carlos using the Falcons nomenclature as well with training camp. We were back and forth on all of it all day long. I'd actually like to pick Carlos's brain about Jim Harbaugh interviewing with the Atlanta Falcons today. Didn't see that one coming. Didn't see that tweet coming as we went on the air live here. Carlos Bocanegra there speaking about competition and how important it is. One of the members of that competition is Brad Gazan. He has been here from 2017 onward. He was signed before the first season, came in the summer when he was out of contract in England, and has been the number one goalkeeper really ever since when he's been healthy. Here's Brad Gazan speaking to Dukes and Bell from earlier today about competition for playing time.
For sure. I mean, listen, when you're a part of any sort of team at the professional level, whether it's soccer, whether it's football, basketball, whatever sport it is, you want competition, because competition brings out the best in individuals. And if it doesn't bring out the best in one individual, hopefully it brings out the best in the next individual that's going to step on the field and do the job and help the team win. And that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to win games. We want to win trophies, right? And whether that's with me in goal, with Josh in goal, with Q in goal, whoever it is, that's what you need. You need competition for places, whether it's the goalkeeper, whether it's someone pushing Gigi, whether it's someone pushing, Tristan in the midfield, whatever it may be. You want competition because that is going to help the environment and the atmosphere within the locker room to become that much better and that much stronger, right? And so, my mentality doesn't change in terms of how I approach preseason. Like I said, I've been around the block a few times. I understand what I need individually, what I need to do to help the team. That part doesn't change. And so I think healthy competition is extremely important in professional sports.
I think it's essential. I think Brad Gazan is dead on there at the end. Healthy competition within a team is essential. And if you don't have it, I don't think you have as good of a team as you could. Pep Guardiola talks about this all the time. You've got to have players competing for playing time. You've got to have competition within your squad. Complacency can set in if you don't. So Josh Cohen has been brought in. Quentin Westberg has been brought back. Brad Gazan, that's your 3 goalkeepers. I think when you talk about position battles, to use another football term, because, we cross over Atlanta soccer tonight, Atlanta football tonight. It's what we do tonight. You do have a position battle on your hands. Goalkeeper is that biggest position battle for Atlanta United going into preseason. They're 2 days in now. First preseason game is on January 27th. We will be there to cover it in Birmingham. More on that as we get closer to it. But coming up next on Atlanta Soccer Tonight, the 343, 3 local stories, 4 headlines, 3 things that make me smile about this game that I love so much. It's coming up next in 5 on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Welcome back, Atlanta Soccer Tonight. Final segment for the evening. I hope you've enjoyed hearing from Garth Lagerwey, from Carlos Bocanegra, from Brad Kazan, from Stian Gregersen, from Giorgos Giakoumakis, all from today's training session at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Thanks to Dukes and Bell for coming out and covering all of it. I'm sure they would have liked to have had the opportunity to talk about this little nugget from the other football. Dropped right as we were going on the air. The Atlanta Falcons have interviewed Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh for the head coach opening. You're going to hear all about that tomorrow, all over all the shows on 92.9 The Game and on the Odyssey app. Make sure you tune in, starting with the morning shift at 6 a.m. Continue it all day, because there is going to be so much conversation and so many other little knock-on effects from this. It's been fascinating to follow all of it. I talked about it on Monday with Sam Crenshaw as I was filling in. You know, one, at that point, we hadn't heard about Bill Belichick being interviewed. Definitely hadn't heard about Jim Harbaugh being interviewed. Now the game has changed a little bit. So make sure you stay with 92.9 The Game, and everything is on the Odyssey app all day tomorrow, as everybody will weigh in with their opinions on it. But for now, let's finish up AST with the 343. 3 local stories, 4 headlines, and 3 things that make me smile about this game that I love so much. We'll start on the local side. Number 1, Croy Bethune, Alpharetta native, Concord Fire alum, University of Georgia graduate. She was selected by the Washington Spirit with the 3rd overall pick in the 2024 NWSL draft on Friday. I'm really excited to see Croy Bethune and Trinity Rodman pair up for the Washington Spirit. I like what that combination could be. The Spirit are going to be really young next year. They're also bringing in the manager from Barcelona, who has won like everything in Europe. So I'm fascinated to see this Washington Spirit team in 2024. And Croy Bethune's going to play a big part of it. Number 2 on the local side, let's go back to Atlanta United for a second. Their academy's gotten stronger with a new addition, Pablo Ibarra. This has been reported all over social media. He's joining the U19 squad. He was last with the IMG Academy in Bradenton. He's part of Venezuela's youth national team pool, was part of their U17 World Cup team last November. Pablo Ibarra joining Atlanta United's academy, a fullback. Be very curious to see where he fits in. We might see him with Atlanta United too in 2024. Number 3, the high school season right around the corner. Although this week's weather's played havoc with tryouts in many school districts. If you have kids who are trying out, make sure you're keeping up with all the latest about school closings and extracurricular activities being shut down. All of it's been nuts. I'm going to be calling games along with my team on the Soccer Down Here network again in 2024. We're looking at 20 plus high school broadcasts, radio style calls on the SDH network. One that I'm really looking forward to that is confirmed now is an interstate tilt on Thursday, February 15th. South Carolina powerhouse, typically nationally ranked on the boys and girls side. JL Man, they're going to be coming over west to face Johns Creek. Both boys and girls doubleheader. We'll have it on the SDH network. More games are going to be added to our broadcast schedule very, very soon. And you're going to get to hear from some of the best coaches and programs here on AST throughout the season on Tuesday nights. 4 headlines from around the world. Let's start with a U.S. men's national team player in the number 1 slot, Gio Reyna, determined to leave Borussia Dortmund in January. Window's getting a little bit short for Reyna to make that happen. He has been offered to top European clubs, according to sources, according to ESPN and many others. He's barely played for Dortmund this year, 320 minutes in 12 games across all competitions. He has a new agent, Jorge Mendes, one of the most powerful agents in the soccer world. His dad, Claudio Reyna. Yeah, we know some of the things that have gone on with Claudio in the last couple of years, but he is involved in trying to help make this happen. Gio Reyna is trying to find a spot where he's going to play more, and there's nothing wrong with that. He'll take a loan. He'll take a permanent move. Dortmund wants about 16 plus million to transfer him, according to sources. He's been offered to a whole bunch of clubs. It sounds like the clubs in La Liga are the most interested right now. Sevilla and Real Sociedad are the 2 who have been kind of mentioned the most. They think the style of play would really fit. Gio needs to play. If he's not going to play at Dortmund, he needs to go somewhere else. And That needs to happen in the next 2 weeks. We'll see if Jorge Mendes can work his magic. Don't forget, Mendes has strong ties to Wolves and Nottingham Forest, where Nuno Espirito Santo is now. Wolves, where he was previously. Strong ties there. Maybe those two could be a possibility, but sounds like Spain is going to be the destination for Gio Reyna. Number 2 on the headlines, Jose Mourinho, no longer with Roma in Serie A. That happened today. They have hired club legend Daniele De Rossi as his interim replacement until the end of the season. Now, Mourinho has been a lot of places. He's been fired from a lot of places. This is nothing new. Contract was up at the end of the season. So it's not really a big surprise. Team's in 9th place. They lost 3-1 to Milan on Sunday. Kind of time if you're not going to keep him past this year if things are trending downward, and they have been lately. Mourinho had a pretty good run at Roma, to be honest. He won the Europa Conference League in 2022, reached the Europa League final last season. It felt like things were moving up, but this year it's kind of crested and started going on the other side. Also, he's been his typical very vocal self. No one in Serie A has received more red cards than the 5 shown to Jose Mourinho since joining the league in May of 2021. He even wore a microphone during a game against Monza last year to protect himself, he said. Now, on the other side of this, De Rossi, 18 years with Roma as a player. He spent a little bit of time with Boca Juniors in Argentina, a fascinating story there. 616 appearances for Roma's first team. 40 years old. He was part of Roberto Mancini's coaching staff when Italy won the European Championship in 2021. He took over at Spal from October of 22 to February of 23. The lower division teams in their second division, Spal, in Italy, it's not the most stable job kind of situation, so it's not a surprise that he wasn't there very long. I want to see what his Roma team can look like. The players are going to play for him, no doubt. And I want to see what his style of play, what he wants out of this team. Be very fascinated to see all this play out as Jose Mourinho out, Daniele De Rossi in. It's Atlanta Soccer tonight. I'm Jason Longshore, wrapping up the 3-4-3 with the third headline. U.S. women's national team striker Mallory Swanson, free agent in the NWSL, record-breaking contract with the Chicago Red Stars to stay. Reported $2 million, including a 5th-year option. Signed through 2028. That's a new league record for the most long-term contract. Highest paid player in the league, according to ESPN. Reported $400,000 per year over the duration of the contract. That's a big jump for NWSL. I love to see it. Mallory Swanson has been one of those players. I think she would have been part of the World Cup squad last summer if she was healthy. She's been one of those players that has been very good in this league, but not in that top tier with the national team stars. So I love that the salaries are going up. Jessica Berman, the NWSL commissioner, said last week that the league has increased the salary cap by 40% because of their landmark 4-year media rights deal that has been signed. Good stuff in the NWSL. Great stuff for Mallory Swanson, and she stays in Chicago with her husband, Dansby. Number 4 on the headlines, the 2024 MLS season. We're right around the corner. Been talking about it all night with Atlanta United. One player that we don't really know what to say right now is Carlos Vela. Out of contract with LAFC. He's generated interest from other places. One of those other places is not very far away. It's with the LA Galaxy. And here's the interesting twist to this. Will Kuntz, who was the general manager with LAFC, he is now the GM with the LA Galaxy. He's the one who brought Carlos Vela to LAFC. He's the one who might bring him across town to the LA Galaxy. How crazy would that be if Carlos Vela just hops across the town and goes to the LA Galaxy and plays on the other side of El Tráfico? Whew. There's going to be a lot of talk if that goes down. Now, NYCFC has been linked, allegedly. I don't know how real that interest is. Real Sociedad, where Vela played previously, they've been rumored as well. But the LA Galaxy would be a crazy move for Carlos Vela. Stay tuned, as that's one of the storylines right now, as preseason and training camps have opened around Major League Soccer. 3 things that make me smile about the game, not just all the crazy terminology that jumps back and forth between different sports. Number 1, the African Cup of Nations. I've told y'all Make sure you are watching this tournament. You can watch it on BN Sports. If you don't have BN through your cable or satellite provider, Fanatis that's how I get it. I love Fanatis. That's how I get Teise out of Argentina. That's how I get BN. That's how I'm watching the AFCON tournament. It's been a blast. The surprises have been all over the place in this tournament. Equatorial Guinea, they got a 1-1 draw with Nigeria. Mozambique, they nearly beat Egypt, gave up a stoppage time penalty that Mo Salah converted to level that at 2-2. Guinea, they drew 1-1 with Cameroon. Angola, they drew 1-1 with Algeria. And maybe the biggest surprise is Cape Verde, defeating Ghana 2-1. We haven't even finished. Every team hasn't even played a game yet. We haven't even finished the first match day of games, and we've already got chaos in this tournament. Cannot wait to see how it all shakes out. Watch it on BN Sports. Number 2 on things that make me smile as we wrap up here on AST. FIFA, they have honored the legendary Brazilian women's player Marta by putting her name on the award for the best goal scored in women's soccer each year. We have the Puskás Award. Now we have the Marta Award. She's, maybe the GOAT of women's soccer. I know we're going to talk about it from a U.S. perspective. We're going to talk Mia Hamm. We're going to talk Michelle Akers. I get it. But Marta, she's played in so many different World Cups. 6. She scored 17 goals. She's won the Player of the Year award 6 times. She's still playing in the NWSL with Orlando Pride, by the way, but she's not going to play in any more World Cups. The best goal in women's soccer is now the Marta Award, according to FIFA. FIFA gets a lot of things wrong. They got this one right. And number 3 on things that make me smile, do not forget, put it on your calendars, the Atlanta Soccer Tonight first goal fundraiser. The first time we have done this is going to be an annual thing. This year, it is benefiting the Southern Crescent Soccer Foundation in McDonough. We're going to help them build a mini pitch. How are we going to do that? We're going to play some Top Golf, and it's a Top Golf tournament, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, January 25th. 92.9 The Game will be broadcasting live. It's going to be a crossover show with Atlanta Soccer Tonight that night. Tons of soccer talk, tons of soccer guests on the show, but also an opportunity for you to come out, help us raise some money for the kids of Henry County, building a mini pitch at Alexander Park in McDonough that will be open to the community for lots and lots of free play, also clinics, also camps, also opportunities for coaching education. That's what facilities like this will do, and I'm so happy to try to help make this a reality in a county where I went to high school. I went to Eagles Landing, not that far from where this field will be. Alexander Park, Southern Crescent Soccer Foundation. You want to be part of this? You want to help make this a reality? Go to scsoccerfoundation.com. Sign up today. If you got a company that's interested in sponsoring, please, you can get on board there and register and make it happen. We will see you in a week and a couple of days. I will be talking to you again next Tuesday with a new edition of Atlanta Soccer Tonight. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you to Atlanta United for all the hospitality today, allowing us to come out, allowing Carl Dukes and Mike Bell to hang out and talk to all of these different folks. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Be back next Tuesday at 10. Adios, everybody.